Welcome to quick tip number 51. If you remember back to quick tip 47, we derived the 5 families of triads in the major scale. I stated at the end of the video that I like to know about these triads because it helps me kind of organize information that I like to have on hand in order to practice things like the major scale. Now today I want to talk about maybe a practice routine of using practically one of these triad families. Let's take a look at the triad family of quartals. That's triads, 3 notes, built with 2 intervals of a fourth. You start on note X in the scale, you go up a fourth in the scale, and then you stack another note, another fourth up in the scale. So for example, in the key of A, with the notes A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, if I wanted to make an A quartal chord, I would start with my note A, go up a fourth, D, and go up a fourth from D to G sharp. There's my 1 quartal or A quartal chord in the key of A. Up an octave so you can really hear it. Oh, very interesting. That's not something I would necessarily attribute to a major sound, but it is directly derived from our major scale. So the goal of this video, and maybe a practice routine we could establish, is the beginning to exploring the major sound, the major scale, through the lens of a quartal triad. I want to do this by proposing one scale exercise, and then a loose routine to explore these sounds in a casual and curious way without necessarily expecting immediate results. So in the key of A, you determine the 1 quartal chord, the A quartal chord. A, up a fourth, D, G sharp, up a fourth, and D. Interesting. Now what I want to do is find the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 quartal chords, triads, in the key of A. So I'd go up to my 2nd degree, B, and I'd build my quartal chord from there. B, go up a fourth in the key of A, E, go up a fourth in the key of A, A. Cool. Now just as a side note, I'm going to search for all these quartal chords using my major scale position that I like to call 2E, where the root is on the low E string and I'm playing it with my 2nd finger. It looks like the diagram you see on the screen. So we have our 1 quartal chord, our 2 quartal triad. Let's keep going. Our 3 quartal triad starts on the 3rd degree of the A major scale, C sharp, go up a fourth, B. Our 4 quartal triad, start on the 4th degree, D, up a fourth, G sharp, go up a fourth, C sharp. Whoa. Our 5 quartal triad, E, go up a fourth to A, go up a fourth to D. Our 6 quartal triad, F sharp, go up a fourth to B, go up a fourth to E. And lastly, our 7 quartal triad, G sharp, go up a fourth to C sharp, go up a fourth to F sharp. So there we have it. 1 quartal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. All roughly in this 2E zone of the A major scale. Nice. Now I want to play these quartal triads in a linear fashion, one note after the other. I outline quartal 1, then I outline quartal 2, all the way up to the scale. It would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. first heard this, I could hardly believe that that was still the same A major scale I practiced for years. Whoa, crazy. In terms of applying this quartal triad stuff to, for example, bluegrass old time, the usual frameworks that we work in during these quick tips, it's a bit of a stretch at first. First, I would suggest just explore and enjoy these kind of funky, nebulous sounds. They don't really tell you where they are. Am I in A major? I don't know. It's just kind of this floaty, glassy sound. So I would start out with just that scale where I'm walking up the triads in a linear fashion, outlining them. And then I'd put on a backing track. I provided a backing track that you could experiment with on the Patreon website. It's basically just a boom chucking A chords, so you could generate that yourself if you don't like the way that track sounds. But yeah, I just want to hear and see if I can create some melodies. Doesn't matter how slow or lame they sound at first, honestly. Now sometimes I propose just improvising and messing around with something, and people look at me with kind of a blank look, like, what do you mean? Well, you've already got this exercise which tells you how these structures lay out a little bit on the guitar. So you could start by just doing that exercise and messing with rhythm, for example, to the backing track. Before you just had straight quarter or eighth notes. What if you insert a little pause in the exercise? 2, 3, 4. Going to feel academic at first. You're not going to be able to create things that maybe you consider good or cool. That's okay. Part of practicing new things like this, which may seem really foreign at first, is dealing with the fact that they do not sound good. And you really have to wade through this territory in almost a detached way if you ever want to internalize any of this information. Something I constantly have to remind myself, you can't care about sounding clever, sounding hip, sounding cool. All that stuff, when you're exploring new territory, is an immediate deterrent to truly having an exploratory attitude to new stuff. So while you're practicing quartal stuff, see if you can practice your attitude also. And maybe you'll find you'll enjoy the stuff better overall. And this applies to anything you're practicing ever, by the way. Now, if just moving up and down the scale in quartal chords with slight alterations of rhythm in an improvised fashion doesn't seem too exciting for you, or you feel like you want to get to the next step, maybe try skipping around. Go from the 1 quartal to the 3 quartal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something you like, pause and try and see if you can repeat it. All right. In this quick tip, we took one triad family. We constructed a quartal, we put it through the scale, and constructed a quartal triad off of every degree in the scale. We made a little warm-up scale exercise with it, just to get our fingers used to this triad family, and also to get our ears accustomed to the sound of this triad family. And then we put it into a musical context using a very open backing track with just one chord to see what this sounds like with some rhythms and improvisations implemented. Thank you so much for tuning into Quick Tips. Thank you so much for being a patron. Make sure to take advantage of the supplemental materials to this lesson, a backing track and some tab notating how I navigated through the scale using the Quartal Triads. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.